row shorter. So this is my verbal statement. I have now put forth it in the proper way, and then I will test it whether really this is the situation or not. Then third nature is relation. It represents the tentative relationship between two or more variables. So for example, again, my hypothesis is sunlight affects the plant growth. So in that, one is a dependent variable, the other is independent variable. One variable depends on the other variable. So sunlight is variable. The intensity of sunlight in the morning, afternoon, evening is different. The intensity of the sunlight in the summer, winter and monsoon is different. Okay? And the plant growth is another variable. You do not have any regulation on the sun or sunlight. So we say that it is the independent variable. Or plant growth does not have any effect, direct effect on the intensity of the sunlight, but the intensity of the sunlight has a direct effect on the plant growth. So plant growth is a dependent variable. So you see the relation. What is the relationship of one variable on the other, or more than two variables on the other, and so on and so forth. Or say for example, if I want to gain a profit, I owe a company and I want to be in a profit by selling my good or selling my product. So I will consider the how much campaigning I should do, how much advertisement I should do. So there are many factors are involved, and then these factor really helps me to gain more profit or no. So this is what is relationship. The next nature of the hypothesis is forward or future oriented. So your hypothesis should tell what will happen in the future and not just about the what is happening in the present or what has already been proven or known in the past. So it should have the future perspectives or what might happen in the future. Then next is pivot of a scientific research. So what is this? Basically, the hypothesis is the main focus of the scientific study. So that is why it says that all research activities are designed for verification of the hypothesis. So it is a scientific study, and therefore all the experiments and the data collections are aimed at the testing whether your hypothesis is true or false. So again, if I stick to the sunlight and plant growth, so your experiment, you have to frame the experiment in a such a way that you will be able to measure the sunlight and you will be able to track the plant growth. You will be able to track the plant growth. And then when you collect the data, you test the data, and then you can prove or you can prove your hypothesis that more sunlight leads to the taller plant, and then your research problem will hold up. So this is what is a pivot of scientific research. Then it is a powerful tool of advancement of knowledge, because whatever research that you are doing, that knowledge was not previously existing. You are the creator of that knowledge. And suppose I want to work in the field that you are working now, your work forms a basis, foundation for me. So I will not indulge myself in whatever you have done. I will carry forward from that point of research. So it is a powerful tool of advancement of knowledge, consists of existing knowledge and conductive to further inquiry. Hypothesis can be tested, verified, and falsifiable. Either you prove or disprove the hypothesis. Hypothesis is not a moral or ethical question. It is neither too specific nor too general. It is a prediction of the consequences. And the hypothesis, it is considered valuable even if it is proven less. So you have vested, or you have rather, I should not use word vested, but you have engaged suppose 3 years of your time, and whatever experiments that you are doing, ultimately after data analysis you say that okay, this is not good. Like for example, normally mushroom polysaccharides, they have immense potential or immense beneficial effect on the human health, and this has been proved by scientists all over the world. But suppose I am working on a polysaccharide, I have isolated, extracted a polysaccharide, I have purified it, and in the murine model, suppose I have given the polysaccharide to the animals, and then after sacrificing, suppose I have did the histopathology of kidney, liver, heart, brain, or other vital organs, and suppose if I come across that the polysaccharide does not have any effect, the animals do not have any positive effect of the polysaccharide on their overall health. That is number one. Or maybe they have some adverse effect on the animal, or extrapolated to humans, they have adverse effect on the human beings. Suppose you have done this and you have not found any significant effect of the polysaccharide on the human of a particular mushroom. And if I want to study again the effect of polysaccharide, I will take your research as a foundation, and I will not use that mushroom. I will not include that mushroom in my study because you have already worked and you did not find any significant effect. So I will choose another candidate. So instead of wasting another time in reinvestigating that you have already done, you have already proven this to be false. So I will not go for that. I will choose another candidate. I will perhaps do the other experimental designs. Then characteristics of the hypothesis. The good hypothesis has the following characters. First is power of prediction. So it should be able to predict what might happen in the future, and not just what is happening now, but it should give a clear picture of what is expected in the later days. And this is one of the key strengths of the hypothesis, that power of prediction. You predict what will happen in the future. Say for example, if I put the hypothesis that exercise improves the mood, or exercise alters the level of serotonin or dopamine or maybe other neurotransmitters, and it enhances your mood, you will feel better, you will feel loving and caring about the world, etc. So you are not only talking about the people who are exercising regularly at this point of time, but you also predict that the people who will start exercising in the future, and they will also likely to have the experience improved with respect to their mood. So this is what is power of the prediction. Then second is closest to the observable things. So the hypothesis should be based on the things that can be observed or measured, and it cannot be based on the ideas or the objectives that cannot be seen. Say for example, I cannot put forth the hypothesis like there is a life on the Mars, or there is a life on the Pluto, or there is a life on the certain asteroid, which is a certain astronomical unit far from the Earth, or certain light years far from the Earth. This is not possible. So therefore, it should be closest to the observable things. Another very important characteristic of hypothesis is that it should be simple, and that is the characteristic feature of a good hypothesis. It must be simple without any complexities. Say for example, if I put a hypothesis that drinking water helps improve concentration, it's a very simple hypothesis. It's a very simple statement. Drinking water helps to improve the concentration, and it is easy to understand. I should not put forth the complex hypothesis that the varying effect of different hydrational levels on the neurotransmitter activities in relation to cognitive focus during the task of varying difficulty. I myself got confused with the this complex hypothesis. So your hypothesis should be simple to understand. It should be clear, clarity. This is another characteristic feature of a hypothesis, that it should be clear and easy to understand. Not only you, but everybody should be able to understand what the hypothesis is about, what the hypothesis is speaking about, and it should not be ambiguous. So, for example, increasing the amount of sleep improves memory retention. This is my hypothesis. So, the more you have a sleep, you have better health, you have a better mood, you have better bowel movement, and so on and so forth. So, even a lay person can understand your hypothesis, but it should not be vague. It should not be too vague, right? So, your hypothesis should be clear. Testability. Whatever hypothesis that you put forth should be or must be tested by the experiment or empirically. So the hypothesis must be formulated and stated after verifications and the observations. So again, my hypothesis is drinking caffeine or drinking coffee increases alertness. This hypothesis is testable. I can test this hypothesis. But if I put the hypothesis ड्रिंकिंग एलेक्झियर ऑफ लाईफ, ज्याला आपण अमृत म्हणतो, अमृत पिल्याने तुम्ही अमर्त्य होणार, यू विल बिकम इमॉर्टल बाय ड्रिंकिंग दी होली डिकॉक्शन. This is a vague hypothesis. This is not testable hypothesis because you do not know what is this amrut or this elixir of life, or what is this soma, is whether it is a alcoholic drink or it is a plant sap or mushroom or what, you do not know. So your hypothesis should be testable. It should be relevant to the problem. Whatever problem that you are willing to undertake, it should be relevant to your problem, and it should address the issue at the hand, and it should help you, or it should help guide you forward finding a solution. So suppose we take example of you conduct a test, suppose class test, or you have a data of last 5 years, test results of last 5 years, and you analyze it and you find that there are certain students are there which are not performing well, which are performing poor, and you want to test why these students have poor test scores. So based on this problem, why the students score poor, why the students have less marks. This is your problem, and to this problem you put forth a hypothesis. Say for example, students who study in groups scores higher on test. So perhaps this is your hypothesis. Or loud music has effect on the student's performance or the ability of the study. That is your hypothesis. Or the students who are doing exercise, they are stress free and therefore they are performing more, and the students who are not exercising or they are not taking a good sleep, they are under the stress and they are uh, performing poorly. So that is your problem, and perhaps that is your hypothesis. Then the hypothesis should be specific. That means a good hypothesis should focus on one problem at a time, particular problem at a time. And the hypothesis should not be too broad or too general. If your hypothesis is too broad or too general, it cannot be properly tested. But if you are taking only one question at a time and you are proposing a hypothesis accordingly, then it becomes easy for you to conduct the experiment, to gather the data, and to prove or disprove the hypothesis. So for example, again, regular exercise improve the cardiovascular health. This is a vague hypothesis or this is a broad hypothesis, that regular cardiovascular exercise improves the uh, cardiovascular health. But the subjects that are involved, you have not mentioned whether it is a 6-month-old child or 10 years old child or 12, 18, 16, 50, 80, 90. You have not specified. So your specific hypothesis could be regular exercise improves cardiovascular health in adults over 50 years. So this is more specific hypothesis. So you are focusing on that population, or you are going to get the sample from that population only. So it is very specific. So accordingly, you can specifically design the experiments, you can get the data, you can analyze the data, and you can generalize that yes, cardiovascular health is improved in those subjects by regular exercise. Then the hypothesis should be relevant to available techniques as of now. So a researcher must know about the workable techniques before formulating a hypothesis. Your hypothesis should be in a such a way that you are able to do the experiments using the existing instruments. Suppose I am working on the phytochemical analysis of a plant. I can easily do that. I can do the qualitative analysis, I can do the quantitative analysis, I can do the TLC, I can do HPTLC, I can go for HPTLC or GCMS or Malditov or GC, whatever. But if I have a hypothesis that there is a plant which is growing on the, just a minute, just a minute, please. But suppose if I put my hypothesis that there is a particular plant which is growing on the Andromeda galaxy, which bears a fruit, and from that fruit you can collect the diamonds. Is it possible for me to do the experiments? Is it possible for me to collect the data and analyze the data? Perhaps no. As if now, no. Maybe I do not know about the future. Even if I collaborate with the NASA or ISRO, I cannot go to the Andromeda galaxy to that particular point and I cannot test it. So this is what it is relevant to the available techniques. Then your hypothesis should be fruitful for new discoveries. So your hypothesis should open a new door or a door to new ideas, discoveries and knowledge. You cannot go, see, it's a very common practice among the researchers. If they do not think of any topic, what do they do? Okay, antimicrobial activity of falana plant, antimicrobial activity of this, antimicrobial activity of that. Hundreds and thousands of paper are available on the antimicrobial activity of that. And what they do, they change the extract, they change the solvent, and they test the antimicrobial activity against certain bacteria, maybe human pathogenic, non-pathogenic, maybe plant pathogenic fungus, human pathogenic fungus, that's all. And they say that, okay, falana plant, ethanol extract of this plant has antimicrobial activity. But what after that? Where your plant extract or which particular component of the extract is acting on the bacteria, whether it is acting on the DNA synthesis, whether it is inhibiting the ribosomes, or whether it is inhibiting the mRNA, or whether it is acting on the cell wall, or whether it is acting on the plasma membrane or whatnot. So your idea or your hypothesis should open the door for new discoveries. Or suppose another hypothesis, if I have to put for that, certain bacteria that are there in the gut, they have influence on the mood. If I have a X bacteria, I will be sad. If I have Y bacteria, I will be angry. If I falana bacteria, I will be happy. Likewise. So it should be fruitful for new discoveries. Then consistency and harmony. The hypothesis should be free from any contradictions. Underline it. Your hypothesis is in a such a way that it is free from any contradictions. And the relationship that you are going to test should make a logical sense. I cannot put forth a hypothesis like whenever I wear a raincoat or whenever I carry a particular handkerchief or whenever I put on a particular shirt or trouser or dress or sari or earrings or bangles, something bad happens. So this is not my favorite shirt, or you must have heard this word. It's a common thing. Or if I put on a particular shirt, then all day I get good news and I get appreciation and good things happen with me. So it should not be, your hypothesis should be logical. Say, for example, the more hours students spend studying, the higher their test score. So it is in consistency with your hypothesis and it is in harmony with your hypothesis. Or another hypothesis, like say, eating junk food improves physical health. This is my hypothesis. If I eat junk food, my overall physical health will improve. This is also a hypothesis. I have to prove it or disprove it. That is another story. So basically, the hypothesis is consistent and it is in harmony. Then the hypothesis should have the profound effect. That means it should help the people to understand something in a meaningful way. It should deepen the understanding of that topic or of the knowledge or the concept that is being studied. Say, another hypothesis I can put for that, stress reduces the body's ability to fight infections. If I am under the stress, persistent, continuous stress, it is likely that my body will lose the ability to fight with the infections. So this is the hypothesis and this is the statement of the hypothesis. And the hypothesis should be economical. It should be show cost benefit picture. If I have to collect a particular data, or suppose I want to do the floristic analysis of a particular region, maybe I will choose the region which is not too far. Suppose I put the hypothesis, or I want to study the Asclepiadaceae family that is there in the Congo river, Congo basin, or maybe Amazon rainforest. This is not economical. I cannot go every now and then. I cannot spend the tickets and all the expenses that I will incur. But if I am living in Ahmednagar, or suppose you are living in Pune or Mumbai, well, you can take the study like floristic analysis of Koyna River Basin. That is feasible. Or if my experiment requires the uh, situation where there is no gravity, or there is a thrusters are required, or high energy is required, or certain platinum or maybe titanium is required, and without which I cannot go further with the experiment. So that is also not feasible. So your hypothesis or your research should be economic. Then these are the functions of hypothesis. Well, you can read them. It helps in making observations and experiment possible. It is the basic point for the research, starting point of your research. Then hypothesis verifies the observation, whether you are going in a correct direction or not, whether you are collecting the data in a proper way or not. Then hypothesis leads to the inquiries in the right regulation. Are you going off the track or not? So that is the function of the hypothesis, to keep you on the track. It provides the extension of a knowledge. It helps to explore different aspects of the research. It introduces different research techniques. It ensures the precision and accuracy of the results of your research. It enables researcher to focus, to be focused. Again, you should not divert from your main objective, because without a hypothesis, the researcher may not keep himself or herself on the track, or it is likely that without the hypothesis, the researcher may focus on unnecessary aspects and wastes the resources such as time, money, and efforts. If my objective is to study the riparian vegetation of a particular river, I should focus on the vegetation itself. I should not go with what are fishes that are found, or what are the amusement that are taking in the forest, or what are the other aspect. No. What is my hypothesis? That I want to study the angiospermic flora of the river basin. So that is, the hypothesis will keep me focused on that aspect. Then sources of hypothesis. The first source is observation. Basically, the hypothesis can come from the things you observed in the real life. You observe maybe some patterns or trends, and you make guess about the how the things are related. Another example, I can quote. Suppose let us take day-to-day life example. Okay, all of you like ice cream, I suppose. Suppose you are buying a family pack of a particular ice cream for suppose 100 rupees. So everybody can afford 100 rupees, everybody can buy that. But next day, suppose the prices hike and go to 5,000 or say 500. So what will happen? There are less buyers, isn't it? So that means you have noticed that as the prices of ice cream goes up, there are fewer people to buy it, and this will form the basis for hypothesis from your observation that as the price of ice cream increases, demand decreases. As simple as that. So from the day-to-day life observations or maybe from the other observations, you can put the hypothesis. So this serves as a one of the source. Culture. So culture means socio-economic background in which maybe the researcher is has grown or he want to or the researcher is living, like the community in which the research is growing, your family background, income level of family, educational background of family, social norms, all these can influence the kind of hypothesis that you are going to put forth. Say for example, suppose I am a researcher and I am from a rural area. I have a land, a farm where I generally grow crops, and I want to do research in certain area. And my hypothesis, if I put forth, the family size is larger in the farming communities due to the need of more labor. So if my family is less, only me and my wife, and I own suppose 5 hectares of a land, two of us cannot harvest, cannot process the plant. I have to hire the laborers and they will come at their own leisure, they will demand their own price. But instead, if I have a family, joint family, all of us work and we can earn more profit. Okay? So this is what is the cultural this thing. Then analogies. What does analogy is? Basically, analogies involve comparing two things that are similar in some way and using that comparison to generate the hypothesis. So it is often a meaningful source of a hypothesis. For example, or maybe you can borrow the ideas. Suppose I am from botany. It is likely that I can borrow some IT idea from zoology, maybe from physics, or likewise. Or if I am a physics person, I may borrow the idea from other field, by maybe chemistry or likewise. Or if I am a economist, I may adopt some concept from the physics, and I may hypothesize like the market equilibrium acts as a physical equilibrium in the system. So physical equilibrium is a concept of physics that I have adopted and I have applied it to the market. Like market equilibrium acts like physical equilibrium in a system. So this is what is the analogy. Analogous example, analogous theories, or like. Then so analogies is another source. Then you have theories. Theories help to set up the hypothesis because the theories have already done the considerable amount of research, or has gathered considerable amount of the literature. So theories help set up the hypothesis by representing what we already know about the topic. And that is why we have done the review of literature. And the theory is well established. then logically we can deduce another hypothesis. Even the theory has been established, you can always, or there is always scope